everybody, y'all. I'm Matt Hillyer. I was in several bands, the most notable probably 1100 Springs. Now I operate under my own name, Matt Hillyer. That's who you're coming to see when you see the show. But I've done all kinds of stuff, some of it worth mentioning, others not worth mentioning at all.
I'm Grady Sandlin. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you for having me, man. It's always good to sit and chat and catch up and all the good stuff.
We've never done this outside of a bar, I don't think.
I know. Isn't that weird? You
Yeah.
know, like how many relationships you have with people and that you're always catching up at a friggin' bar, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah.
For sure.
How's the band? How's the family? What's going on?
The band is good. You know, when they say the band now, it means a different thing just because it's like I do band shows under my own name. And so it's not like with any super duper regularity. I do a lot of acoustic shows, which I love a lot. Family's great, man. Family's cool. Both my girls, my youngest, 16, and she just got her driver's license. God help us. She's a pretty good little driver, though. You know, like I'm pretty proud of her. And then my oldest is 21. She goes to college in Cleveland, Ohio, for those of y'all just wondering. And she's a junior, and she's doing great. So
What's she study?
she, don't get me lying. As far as I know, it's like environmental studies / sociology. And but her grades are good, and she's just a little sort of social justice warrior. It's something to be proud of, and then also just sort of, oh boy.
Worried about?
Well, I mean, in this day and age, yeah, maybe, but like, it's just, it's just when she comes home, I get a lesson about all kinds of stuff, and it's good to know, but at the same time, it's like, I'm on my toes, so to speak, you know,
Yeah.
just because it's going to be something that she's going to school me on. Actually, Dad, I was like, okay, all right, here it comes, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it, but at the same time, it's just, I don't know. You start to feel like the old dumb guy that just sort of schleps around the house, which is what I kind of am at this point, you know.
That's how it's meant to be.
Yeah, right.
Like, you don't want to be explaining the world to your 21-year-old. You need to kind of, it's sort of, she's out and figuring it out and can report back to you, right?
I try to explain as much about it, my view of the world, like up to the point where she was about 12, you know? And I would even put the caveat on it. It's like, look, I hope that you listen to some of what I'm saying now, because in about a year, you're not going to want to hear it from me at all. And she'd be like, "No, Dad, no, we'll always be able to talk." And we do. We still have a dialogue. We can talk about anything. But at the same time, it's just like, yeah, you get they do what they're supposed to do, is to get to the point where their personalities and their opinions and their beliefs and things start to wake up, and they start to figure things out. And now they figure things out at a rate, exponentially faster than what we were able to do with the Encyclopedia Britannica. They got the, internet at their fingertips all the time.
Yeah.
And I never know what it is they know until they start talking about stuff, and then I feel really dumb, Which I'm okay with it. Look, man, you learn something new every day,
Yeah. We learned from guess what I heard, man?
Right.
And you had no way to fact check it or anything. Now someone can tell you that, and you can be like, well, hold on, let me pull the oracle out of my pocket, and we can just get to the bottom of this right now.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like there's been some things that come back, like some little lessons that I'll be given where it's like, Dad, did you know? And it's what the next thing that's said, it's just like, yeah, I don't know about that. You might want to check your sources on some of that, because there's a lot of information out there, but I'd like to see where you're getting that from, because that doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah.
There again, what do I know? Not enough.
I look at those, or anyone now, and like younger musicians, where in our time it felt like you could hear about a band or you could hear about an artist, and you had to like find that they either had to be coming to town or you had to find it in a record store, and some stuff would be kind of mythical, or you'd be like, does that even really exist? Is there really that record out there? And then now I talk to younger artists, and you might try to stump somebody. Have you ever heard this? Yeah. Oh yeah. I know about that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like it's that's why independent record stores were so sort of important coming up, just because you'd find your own favorite record shops that would have the stuff that Sound Warehouse didn't have. And I'm dating myself there, but like, yeah, or cassette tapes, mixed tapes that got passed around with a whole bunch of people. Things that, like, you talk about YouTube and all the funny clips that people have, but like all the funny, like sort of a lot of the legendary viral stuff that comes from way back in the day was making its way around on a VHS tape that somebody traded. You trade people stuff, and like, yeah, I don't know, information was a little more proprietary. And
you had to know a guy,
and exactly, and to me, it put a little more value on it. But at the same time, I really do wish that like YouTube had been around whenever I was learning to play guitar, instead of lifting the needle over and over again trying to figure it out. I'm sure my ear got better for doing that, but man, like I'm doing this thing right now with coming up in May, the city of Garland is putting on this show.
Yeah.
For like the 50th anniversary of Willie's Red-Headed Stranger, because they recorded that and some other records of Willie's in Garland, which is a pretty cool concept. And I'm playing guitar on the deal. I'm not singing anything, and John Pettigo's putting it together. It's like, would you want to play the nylon string guitar, Willie's stuff? And I'm like, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun, And Ray Benson's doing it, and Josh Ray Walker's doing it, and Rhett Miller's singing this song or two, and Max and Heather Stalling are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun, but in case anybody like thinks that Willie Nelson's guitar playing is easy, it's not. It's really not. It's deceptively difficult.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, he's good in the sense that he typically follows the melody, which is a good place to start. But he plays like he sings. There's just a lot of little sort of runs and phrases that fall off that are it's just very dynamic, and you start to realize and understand why Django Reinhardt was his favorite musician, because it's just a lot of jazzy stuff in there that makes Willie Willie. But if I'd have had YouTube back in the day, and there's some things, I still kind of go back to my own stuff, because a lot of people don't get it right,
Mm-hmm.
And there's some of those weird things that Willie does, and you'll look at a video and you're like, yeah, I don't know about that. That's kind of not what I'm hearing. But if I'd have had it back in the day with a lot of the stuff I was trying to learn, just to see somebody do it and the way they, what position they're playing in or whatever, I don't know. It would have been cool.
Are you like, have you looked? There's videos from that era. There's like a Austin City Limits. I think it's from the following year. I think it's from '76.
Okay.
But they play the whole record.
Really? No, I haven't looked at it. I need to go and look at that. Yeah.
So if you want to like get into like finger positions and things like that, now it's also a year later, and so everything's evolved a little bit.
I wouldn't rely, if you're trying to get it record perfect, I wouldn't rely on it, because that record is it's one of my favorites ever. Just like the first time I heard it, it just blew me away, because, we've all heard a lot of Willie Nelson records, but Red-Headed Stranger in itself is just so special to me, because it's just movie inside of your head. Like from one song to the next, it tells this story, and they all kind of go together. Like, it only gets off the path maybe once or twice, but really it all makes sense with this character, and the story from Time of the Preacher and all of that stuff. And the tempos are speed up and slow down. And the story that I heard behind that record was just that he made it, and he was doing well enough to where it's like, okay, well, Willie, go make your record. And he makes this record, and he sends them the masters, and they're like, okay, when do you want to go into the studio and record the actual record? He's like, no, that's it. That's it. That's all of it. and it's so stripped down and so, sort of basic, and just such a different concept record because, and oddly enough, one of his biggest commercial hits, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, is on that record. But if you listen to the record in its entirety, you don't really hear, like when they say you don't hear a single.
No, right.
Like it's a concept record. It's a cowboy record.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Which I think is just so great. But there again, like when you're learning it, it's different because there's extra bars here and there, and so much of it is just him and his guitar.
Yeah.
And then the band will come in. I say band very loosely because the drummer will come in with a cross stick on the one, which is, it's not unheard of, but at the same time, it's just like, if that's all you're going for, I have to prepare myself mentally just to keep good time.
There's so much space. I had to play it. I just played that record on Sunday with a band, these guys in Fort Worth. And going through and listening to it, I mainly had to just be like, write down no drums. There's no drums on Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain.
No.
I play that song all the time, and I drum on it, and I play drums where you could have put a gun to my head and been like, are there drums here? And I would have said yes.
Right. And well, I mean, and it's just, like I say, even saying that there's drums on it is very wide interpretation because, what's this, a shaker or a tambourine hit?
Yeah.
With a cross stick, maybe. There's only a couple of tunes where there's snare and brushes throughout.
You can hear bass drum on a little bit. Like on Down Yonder or something. There's there's someone kicking through a thing and
and like even the acoustic rhythm, which I get into thinking playing those Willie parts is daunting to me because there's a different little you better be ready. You like I didn't think about it until I started really sort of trying to woodshed it and going, dude, you're the guy.
Yeah,
you better be on it.
Yeah.
Because there's a sort of there's a lift to it. There's a sort of country swing to some of the waltz feels and things like that. It's not just straight. It's a very Western kind of way that he's doing it.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. It's just a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, but it's nerve-wracking to think that I'm learning the parts. I'm not worried about that, but it's just like one thing to learn them in your room, and then you think about like, okay, this whole entire band, Ray Benson's going to be up there,
right,
and he knows Willie well. You really don't want to mess that up.
No.
So wish me luck.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I hope to be there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it should be cool. It's funny because they're. I think it'll have a good attendance or whatever. But I went to Easter at the in-laws, and they like to talk to me about, well, what you have any concerts coming up? I was like, I don't know if you call them that, but like. And I told them about that, and they're like, yeah, we looked into it. Those tickets are kind of expensive. I was like, look, I'm not involved in that, and I am just the guitar player on this deal, so I cannot help you whatsoever on that.
Yeah.
I'm not even on the poster, which is kind of cool,
Yeah.
just to be involved and just to, because it's always, for gigs for me, it's always, I'm singing, I'm playing, I'm doing the leads, I'm doing all that stuff. I don't get to do that many gigs where I'm just playing guitar.
Yeah.
And to play Willie stuff at that it's going to be interesting.
Have you been in that studio?
Audio Dallas?
Yeah. Is that what it's called now?
I think so. I think that's where they did it. Yeah, I've done some stuff there. But never like I think I might have done some tracking for something of mine maybe once there, but I never have recorded a whole record there. It's a cool spot for sure.
Yeah.
And it's legendary, and Phil York, who did those records, we got to work with him a couple of times, and he was a super cool guy. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of, history there. I love it whenever you can talk about any of the records and music that have been big records that have been recorded in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more than people really think about,
Yeah, it seems like maybe before Nashville took over Dallas was kind of making a push to be kind of a music hub.
There was a guy named Jim Beck, and yeah. So you know about that. Like he was, a lot of those early country records were being made in Dallas, and they were sort of pushing it to be kind of like you say, a hub, like making records like Nashville. And the tragedy behind that guy is that he was in his studio one night by himself cleaning his tape heads when it wasn't properly ventilated.
Yeah.
And he died, and that was the end of that, But, hell, there's been a lot of great music recorded in Dallas, and people don't think about that.
I think about those Panther Hall records too, that Charlie Pride record and that Willie record, and
yeah,
I know that there's more of that they had a TV show, but anytime I got to meet Billy English recently, and he sent me some photos of like him and Paul and someone else, and I was like, "Is that Panther Hall?" And he was like, "It was just a backstage picture." He was like, "How the hell would you know that from that photo?" And I just said, "It just looks." I've looked at so many photos from that place. I'm so curious about it.
Yeah,
that something about that, just the background said Panther Hall to me. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but I've seen photos of everybody that I love from that time in that space, and I love that they have that big sign behind the bandstand.
Yeah.
So there's no fooling it. You can't ever say this was at this place. It's like there's a big fucking sign behind the stage that says Panther Hall, Fort Worth, Texas.
Music nerds, we know stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I love that kind of stuff too. That's cool though, that you could sort of just spot it and just, I don't know whether it was a color scheme or just something that you just had. It's just the vibe.
Yeah. Something about it.
That's
he
cool.
just was like, this is from 1970. I was like,
have you done anything at the Longhorn Ballroom yet?
No, I've been to a show there, and then I played there a couple times when it was like in disrepair.
Yeah.
Like it was drafty on the stage.
Yeah.
And a few things. Done like a video shoot in there, and then played a couple private events in there.
Yeah.
But I went for the kind of grand opening with Asleep at the Wheel.
Right. I was there. I think I was there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Great.
So cool.
And that's one of those spots in Dallas that's just got tons of history. And we've played there a couple of times.
1100 Springs played a big show there,
Yeah, we
right?
did our big return to the stage,
That looked incredible.
I don't know if it'll happen again, but it was cool that it could happen when it did, just because, I don't know, I'll never rule it out, I can't assume that any of the guys in the band just want to get back and do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't really, I'm not just looking for it all the time, but if there's an opportunity and everything, if the money's right and the show is right and it seems like fun and it doesn't have to be one more than the next, really, then I would do it. Why not? It's fun. We had a great time. But then also, being on the stage with the Bowling for Soup, when I would tell people that was the show, people were like, that's an interesting pairing. It's like, it's really not. Like, if you know the history of the friendship that we have with those guys, like, it makes a lot of sense when you get right down to it. Because back when we had our rock band Strap, we became fast friends with Bowling for Soup. Then they were just sort of breaking into the Dallas market, and so all those years later, and we did a lot of shows with them back then, and all the years later, to think that any chance we get to hang out and share the stage is always cool. There's a lot of love in that camp, but then also the Longhorn Ballroom, like those the venue's cool. I had played there before, and it just seemed right. So.
What was Strap?
Okay, Strap was of a mess. we had Lone Star Trio, and we were pretty traditional rockabilly, and then we got louder and louder and louder, kind of chasing what the Rev was doing. But we were so loud and just became such an identity crisis. With this heavy metal drummer that we had, and we were just getting louder and louder.
Was that Taz?
No, it was
drummer?
Chris Antonopoulos.
Okay.
His goes by Seven now. Everybody calls him Seven. I still call him Chris just because old habits. But it was just one of these things where you couldn't ever hear the bass or the vocals were just too loud. It was cool. People liked it. But at one point in time, we were just struggling, trying to figure out what to do about that. And then Steve was like, man, ZZ Top was loud, and there were a 3-piece. Why don't we try and do something like that? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're shooting for, and we landed somewhere sort of ZZ Top, AC/DC-ish kind of stuff. And we weren't, you can't just switch genres like that and expect to be good at it, or to expect people to understand. We got better, but it was a short-lived thing. I'm glad we did it before YouTube and cell phone cameras,
So I didn't know. I knew what Lone Star Trio was, but I probably only knew that it was rockabilly. I feel like I was just like kind of a step behind you guys until 1100 Springs, just because of my age. Mm-hmm. You guys are doing that in the late 90s. I'm a teenager. I couldn't get into clubs. Eventually a lot of those clubs, I could get into Trees because I had a friend's ID that looked enough like me, but he was just 18 and I was 16. So I could drive myself down there and get into those shows. But someone had told me, I remember going to Trees, and I feel like maybe someone even at Trees told me this. Have you guys heard Strap? I was like, no. And they almost sold it to me like it was a bit.
People thought that. We were pretty serious about it. We definitely, as serious as you can be for something that's completely just ridiculous in its nature and conception. But we wanted to be a good hard rock band. We really, there was some tongue-in-cheek aspect to it, but that's not what we were shooting for. And we were giving it our level best to be authentic dirtbags, and really achieving success in that department a lot of times. But I don't know. To me, all of those little chapters, it's all about the songs. And, Thunderbird Will Do Just Fine was a Strap song. See You in the Next Life was a Strap song. And those songs still live today. Some of the more asked for, requested, successful songs that I ever wrote. And so some of it had to do with the fact too that as a rockabilly band, we with Lone Star Trio, we were pretty derivative of what the Rev was doing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of our friends who were playing harder rock music were getting actual record deals, and a lot people, there was some interest in Lone Star Trio, and there should have been, because we were doing well for what we were doing, and traveling a lot, and people were starting to come out, and it was starting to go. But every label that we talked to took a sort of wait and see kind of attitude about it. And we're like, we don't have time to wait and see about this, Mm-hmm. If this isn't working, if nobody's biting on this, and we're already loud anyways, let's try something else.
Yeah.
Because that's I love rockabilly, and I love the rockabilly scene, but I think we were also kind of exhausted with just trying to, just be in an identity crisis to a degree,
Is Lone Star Trio your first band?
No, I had a band called Matt the Cat and the Gutter Rats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also rockabilly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was I was in Austin. I had a manager down there. It started, I was playing a talent show like when I was in 6th grade or something, and my brother was in the band, and this singer-songwriter Meredith Miller played bass for the deal for a little bit, but then we went down to play with the Wagoneers at the Continental Club, and I was probably about 13. And their manager was interested in me and sort of took me on a developmental kind of role. So we put together a different band and started playing around the Austin scene in, like 88 or 89, from when I was about 13 to about 16.
Did you live here?
I spent the summers in Austin, and I would drive down there on the weekends to do shows.
Who would drive you down there?
Well, my mom, my grandmother lived there, so I had some place to go. But in the summer, I would just go live with that manager, which was intimidating in a sense, just because you're young and you're staying someone else's house who this is technically sort of your boss. It was weird. But I mean, and then these are all people that had legit pedigrees and Texas music.
Yeah.
So I was sort of thrust into this world of Texas music that I really didn't understand yet. And they were grooming me to be signed to a major label. And I did a showcase and it didn't really go well. And then I kind of parted ways with that manager and moved back to Dallas, and I played guitar for a band out of Denton called the Red Devils. And that's where I met Steve.
Okay.
Yeah. And because they had heard a demo tape that I did, and they were looking for a guitar player, and I wouldn't do anything else at the time. And I went to rehearse with them, and this guy Jason Burns, who wound up playing for the Road Kings, was playing with them, and upright bass, and he quit. Like at the rehearsal I was at, I was like, "You guys don't have it together, do you?"
Oh no.
Yeah, and back then, the upright bass players who played in any kind of those bands, really, it just was only mainly determined on like who had an upright bass.
Yeah.
And they threw around a couple of names, and Steve Bergs was one of them, and he, being the sort of proactive, go get him kind of guy that he is, put his upright bass in the back of his truck, and he duct taped a microphone to the tailpiece and joined the band. And it was a really cool, garagey kind of rockabilly band. And I mainly play guitar. I would sing maybe a couple of songs, but it gave me a chance to sit back and sort of just think about playing guitar, and then maybe sing harmonies, which is not that I couldn't do it before, but it kind of helped me figure that part out.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, Steve and I quit and started the Lone Star Trio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's with you in Strap, and then 1100 Springs.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What if you're always the rockabilly guy, you decide to maybe go hard rock for whatever reason that is, and then you mentioned the song thing, because maybe you can write a different way if you're writing for a rock band.
Yeah.
And then are you pulling like the best of the most popular Lone Star Trio songs into that, or was it just kind of
it was all
new box?
It was all new. I mean, there was some of that influence. For me, going back and listening to Strap is kind of cringe, not because I think it's going back and listening to anything you did in the past is a little bit cringeworthy.
Sure.
That is weird because it's just so out of left field, and it was such a different time. Mm-hmm. Some of it holds up, and some of it I'm just like, eee. But no, I mean, it was cool in the sense that I sort of had to try to figure out how to do something else. Your voice is always going to come through when you're writing and whatever you're doing, but like, it's a good lesson sometimes is just to sort of slash and burn and do something different.
Sure.
And then coming back to the honky tonk and country and stuff like that just felt like coming home.
Yeah. Why not back to rockabilly? Why?
None of that was really calculated whatsoever. Like because 1100 Springs was just an accident, everybody who was in the band when it started was doing different stuff. I had a gig at a warehouse with my friend Richie Vasquez, who was at the time playing with Jesse Dayton, and there was a company that did radio programming for stations all over the world, and they would ship compact discs every week to stations everywhere, and basically the record labels, it was formatting, and record labels would give you what they called a hit disc and different formats of whatever's going to be played on the radio that week. And then we would pack them up and ship them. And the guy who ran the warehouse was really friendly to our schedules and needing to get off and go run around and play. But we were working in a warehouse, and me and Steve knew Richie for a long time. We were just kind of just talking about, man, you know what would be cool is if we could get some gigs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just screwing around. We know all these country songs. Because Richie had been playing with the Cartwrights and any number of like different country, North Texas country bands.
Is he a drummer? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so just the three of us got together, and Steve being the one who always gets the gigs and makes things happen. Like he went and talked to the folks at Eight Airs, Paul Grubbs at Eight Airs, and said, would you let us play on Monday nights? And they said, okay. And we just, slept our way through whatever country songs we could remember. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't supposed to be anything, and we weren't very good, but it was fun. And then, like, as a result of just it being Monday night, and like all of our friends who were in the service industry, Monday is their Saturday, so they would come out, and they knew they could drink cheap beer and have fun with their buddies and listen to them what sounded like good country music. Now we know different, but like we know how not great it probably was.
You probably have tapes to prove it.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun, and then it started to become a scene, and we started getting better, and we added a fiddle player, and made a cassette tape, and sold them for $5. Made T-shirts, sold them. Made a CD, and then you're off and running.
Yeah.
But it was just an accident. So like had it been a calculated thing, I don't think I would have wanted to go back to the whole rockabilly world, just because I love it, but at the same time, I just kind of grew weary of a lot of the dress up part of it.
Yeah.
I still love the clothes, I love the cars, I love the music, and I think it's a very important style of music. And I'll never say it otherwise. But
right.
But at the same time, it's just we've been around it enough to where it's just like, these people in this car club don't hang out with these people in this car club. If you go to this barber, we don't go to that guy. We go to this barber. We don't go to this tattoo artist. We go to this tattoo artist.
Yeah.
The guys in the leather jackets would laugh at the guys in the gabardine. The guy,
yeah.
There's just some of that stuff that I just didn't really think mattered all that much. Especially as a kid who discovered rockabilly at 12, and there were no rockabilly bands except the Rev to go see, and he was different. Mm-hmm. And then you start hearing people talking about how the Rev was too psychobilly, or it's like, this is dumb. I didn't want to get back into that world of just sort of like listening to people sort of be cliquey like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I think it still exists in the country world, and I always try to stay out of those conversations, or at least go, well, someone's been saying, some person your age has been saying that about country music since the beginning.
Sure.
There was some guy's dad heard Hank Williams and was like, basically said the version of, well, he might as well be rapping over it at that time.
Yeah.
Like the way they were doing the hillbilly boogie at that time, he was like, there was stuff going on back then that was like, that ain't it.
Right.
So going all the way back, there's been rules to it. The rockabilly thing and maybe like the jazz thing, they seem so frozen in a time period, and there is a dress up component to it.
I'm not in that world anymore, so I don't know how it is nowadays. I know that it just, I'm telling you, and I'll sound old with a lot of things that I say when we're talking, just because I guess that's the truth. But the internet changed a whole lot of things. It helped people cross a lot of barriers, and it brought a whole lot of this, what they call subculture stuff, to the forefront, to where when I was a kid trying to tell my friends about rockabilly, they're like, what? What are you talking about? And they don't even know what it is. But now it's kind of a household word. You can say it, and people kind of know what it is.
They know what it looks like.
Yeah.
They know what it sounds like.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe that's not as much of a thing anymore. But I just, I still love it. I still love it all. I still sort of love that world. I just don't I don't want to live in it so much, because I found sometimes it was just sort of, it brought the ceiling down just a little bit as to what it is you were supposed to be allowed to do. And we felt a lot of that with Lone Star Trio, because we're getting louder and stuff, and it's just like, well, we liked it better when you were traditional. It's like, well, okay, well, this is what we're doing. I don't know what to tell you about that. There's plenty of bands that you can go see that do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but it's good sometimes you just sort of take a left turn, do something different.
Did you go see the Dylan movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you could probably relate to that.
100%. Yeah.
Someone who's just like, just stay here.
Right.
Just stay in this little box. That would be so great.
Right.
If you would just, and it's like in the time that, I think the Beatles came out and he was like, oh, well, he was a rock and roll musician from the beginning who went and was like, oh, well, folk's the thing. I'm going to do the folk thing. And then he sees the rock and roll thing kind of come back and was like, well, I mean, if I can do that,
yeah,
like, let's do that.
And a lot of it's just not even calculated. It's just where you're going with what moves you at the time. I mean, I still encounter that now, which is funny, really funny to me, because it's like there's people that's just like, they're like, man, we really loved 1100 Springs. It's like, well, me too. I'm the only person that's never missed a show.
Yeah.
But the thing is most of the guys, when I do a band show, pretty much everybody, most of the time, who plays those band shows were members of 1100 Springs.
Yeah.
And we play plenty of 1100 Springs songs. It's still available for you to consume and see and all of that stuff. And I'm still the same guy doing it. It's funny to me just because it's people associate a name with the time period in their life, and
right.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, they're almost going, well, I wish you hadn't
right
changed.
Right.
I
ran into this and I won't even mention the guy's name, but this guy I hadn't talked to in 20 years piped in on some sort of post I made about a show to the effect of like, 1100 Springs is better. It's like, okay, for your opinion, but it's really not that different.
Yeah.
Like if you, have you even listened to what I'm up to nowadays? Because there's a lot of similarities. There's some different stuff too, but like, I don't know. People, like I say, they tack that onto their memories of times in their life, and in the end, I'm just grateful to have been a part of this sort of soundtrack or whatever it is,
mm-hmm.
whatever cliche you can put on that. But there's always something new and cool to do, and just keep moving.
You have to,
yeah.
If you're going to continue as an artist. I mean, because I see, I'll look at, you were at Dan's last week or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and I'll look who is in the band.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, Danny's on steel, you got Jordan. You got Christian on drums.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Chad was playing bass.
Yeah.
Cool. Like that's 1100 Springs,
yeah,
right?
Really. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Without Steve on the bass.
For what it's worth, it's a different version of it, but it's, to me, I don't know. It's like I say, I go back to it. It's all about the songs.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of these people that just like tries to do something different and then decides, no, I'm not playing those songs anymore. Not when it comes to the 1100 Springs songs, because there's a lot of songs that people really dig.
Yeah.
And that I still love to sing and play. So,
And they're yours.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's I remember seeing you at Dan's, maybe on that first solo record. And it was lean.
Yeah.
And we talked about it.
Yeah.
Very like transparently, openly about, I think you're just like, well, man, I don't have anything else going on.
Yeah.
Other guys in the band, they might have other bands they can play with, or they teach lessons, or they got this hobby that's going well for them. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if at that point it was over, obviously it wasn't. Y'all did come back and make a push there for a little bit after that. But at some point, did you...
Oh, this is when 1100 was still around, but we weren't playing as much? Okay, yeah, that's an interesting period.
Yeah,
you know?
Because you had put out that solo record, and I almost wondered if there was an initial thing of, like, do you think that people were not going to support that because they didn't want you, like, raising the replacement?
Nah, I just don't think... I mean, I think that just like anything... This is the problem that I ran into with that, was that the band never broke up, you know? Like, people knew that we were still doing shows. We just weren't doing as many of them. So when I would go to book solo shows, even solo band shows, and I go to talk to people, they'd be like, yeah, we'd love to have your solo band in here. What about 1100 Springs? And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with that, you know.
Did you have to go? You had to talk to Steve about that?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, if gigs came across the radar that everybody wanted to do, and if they you know, if everything was right, then we would do them. But we just didn't. We just kind of got burnt out on just hammering away like all the time. I think Jordan had just had a kid, and I don't know. I just think people just kind of got tired of doing it as much as we were. But it was a really, you know, eye-opening situation for me, because it made me lean into the solos, making a solo record, which I love that record.
I do too.
And doing more sort of solo acoustic things, which, I mean, if you want to know the truth, that may be what I love to do the most at this point. Really, yeah.
Okay.
I can tell stories. I can have a different kind of interaction with the audience. If the room is right, and you got a good listening room, and you got a crowd, you have a different opportunity to have a different relationship with the audience, and to me, in a lot of ways, a more meaningful one, because you know, the conversation happens right there from the stage before the show. You pick whatever songs you want to do. You don't have to run it by anybody. You don't even really have to make a set list if you don't want to. And I just kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, like, okay, you know, you could do this, and you could get good at this. You could even try and take some of these songs that you consider band songs and work up an arrangement where you still play cool guitar stuff, and you do it acoustically, and at the end of the night, you make the money. Yeah. And that's yours. And so my takeaway from a lot of those gigs would be more than what it was divvying it up with the band.
Right. Even if there's less people.
Even if there's less people, and even if the guarantee was half as much as what the band would get, my takeaway was more. So it just kind of, and it's not all about the money, but, like, you know, you still got to pay the bills. And it just kind of opened my eyes to the facts, like, no, man, you know, you can make a living doing this. And you've done enough. You've made enough records and put out enough songs that people recognize, know, and want to hear. And there's some recognition to it. It's hard to sort of get people to recognize your name instead of having to go Matt Hillyer from 1100 Springs. I still have to do that. Yeah. I'm not uptight about it. I don't care.
I mean, you are Matt from 1100 Springs after all.
Whatever gets them in the seat is fine by me, and that's the truth. But you know, it was an eye opener in that sense, and I was never against doing any kind of 1100 Springs shows ever, and I'm still really not. But I did just start to become more sort of excited about being able to just do things on my own, you know?
Do you think 1100 Springs, like, had to break up?
I don't know. I think that here's the truth: is we've been hovering over that button for years before we actually pressed it. And every time we'd make a record, we're like, okay, are we continuing on? Because it's not. I mean, yeah, Steve and I kind of made that call together, but you know, truth be told, it becomes a question. It's like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, are we gonna just play where it works that's fine. You can do that forever. Mm-hmm. You know, you can do that forever, and people will dig it, and you can keep making records, and the same people are going to keep buying your records and all of that stuff. But what do you want to do? And I probably, if everybody wanted to do it, I probably would have said, "Oh, yeah, sure, let's do it. Mm-hmm. This is valuable. This has been good for everybody. We're still friends. We still like to make records together." But it did get to a point when the pandemic hit, and Steve and I were talking about this. I think that he just probably didn't want to go to bars anymore. He doesn't drink. It's not, being around large crowds is not his favorite thing. Mm-hmm. And he had put so much blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of people don't know exactly how much he was really driving the ship about. His attention to detail is spot on, and mine sucks. And we would drive each other nuts that way. But when he got to a point where he's just like, look, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And we did have a conversation about whether or not I would keep it going and, maybe find somebody else to play bass or whatever. And that didn't feel right to me or him. And because we started it together, he put a lot of work into it. So did I. And it wouldn't feel the same. And if I'm telling the truth, like when I ask myself, what do you want to do? What do I want to do? I want to make my own records, I don't necessarily need to be the guy who works under this umbrella of like keeping classic country music alive, Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that. And I still dig all of that stuff. But there are songs I wanted to write and record that would not have made as much sense on an 1100 Springs record.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's something to be said for just having your own name out there and being able to do whatever you want to do, for better or worse.
Yeah, because you built a name that was bigger than your own, mm-hmm. and then, like you said, you have to, at some point, it's like, well, I am Matt from 1100 Springs. You have now for the rest of your life, for the rest of your career, you're kind of like, well, I'm just Matt, right? And
sure,
everything else is the
but
past.
There again, like I said before, I don't sort of shirk anybody trying. If that's what helps them put two and two together.
Yeah, I'm
proud of all the stuff that we did, and I have no problem with that at all, because there's some good stuff there.
So even like as accidental as it was coming together, it did form into a thing of you guys were a kind of classic country throwback band, and I know there's others around.
Yeah.
And it's different than I had a conversation with you about this of like, I like bands. I like when you have a sort of united front, mm-hmm. and it would be fine if everyone was as committed as you and Steve to just go, well, I'll do my other things, but when opportunities come up, which it sounds like they are, but
yeah,
you understand what I mean, of like right now you can say, I'm booking a gig, and whoever is on the stage with me is whoever I can get, or whoever wants to do it.
Yeah.
That's different than having this kind of solidified look, and people come, 1100 Springs starts to mean something else than just Matt's band or Matt and Steve's band. You have a personality like Jordan.
Yeah.
Well,
for a long time, that's how it was. There's been so many different lineups of 1100 Springs from soup to nuts that well, when you got to a certain point, yeah, it is that sort of cohesive unit. Even if one guy goes away and another guy steps in his spot, it's still, and that's tough. And I think towards the end, too, even though I really think that, I love the last lineup so much. But by then, I think enough years and changes in the lineup had gone by that people who were watching the show probably understood. It's like, okay, well, it's those two guys who are driving the ship, and Jordan's part of it, too. Mm-hmm. But, like, things can change, and they'll keep doing it. And I know when we got to that last lineup, if I had to think about making any further changes to a lineup to keep continue on to do anything. And there was no talk about that because everybody was like, we ended great, you know, happy with everyone. But I know I didn't want to do that, you know, because something falls off, man. Like, you know, that united front thing, like some people, if somebody has to go, and that's a whole other topic, but sometimes people have to go.
Yeah.
And if somebody has to go, when that person goes, there's going to be a handful of people who think, well, it's just not the same.
Right.
That was the best lineup. It's like, well, okay. You know, you don't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes to push us to that level.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can understand this.
I do.
But with a band, if it's a band name, I mean, Asleep at the Wheels had so many different lineups, it doesn't matter anymore. Ray Benson, everybody knows Ray Benson owns the name, and every couple of years you're going to see different, they're going to turn over and stuff like that. And now it doesn't matter. 1100 Springs could have been the same sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm like you. I do sort of, you know, you get to a point where it's just like, from that spot where, yeah, you're in united front, all for one for all, and then you get to a point where it's just kind of a business. You know, it's different.
Yeah.
I like the united front thing about a band.
Yeah.
You know, and I certainly didn't want to, and Steve's included in that. Like the biggest part probably because we put it together, the two of us. Like if I had to think about going on and doing 1100 Springs with somebody else besides him, I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah.
You know,
was there ever any talk of like Steve still answers the phone and handles the business and sends someone out there
talked
else
about
out to
that.
play?
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's been brought up between the two of us, really. And I think his thought was like, why do I have to do the stuff that sucks? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get to, you know, like I still like to play, but it just, I don't know. It's not for everybody forever, you know? But I mean, he and I still talk on the regular, and you know, we still have a business to run because that stuff still lives and it still has a purpose, and all of that stuff. We try to figure out how to sort of keep it alive, really, because it means a lot to a lot of people, and it will,
does.
you know,
myself included.
Oh, thanks. No, but you know, I mean, I don't think I would want to go on. I don't think by the time it was done, I don't think I really wanted to do it with anybody else with a different piece of any part of the puzzle. And
like you said, you freeing yourself up and just being Matt, you can really do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you know, but that sort of brings me back to the, like, you do kind of write for something. And so when you're in Strap, you write to this. When you're in Lone Star Trio, you write to this. When you're in 1100 Springs, you write to this, even though that, like, again, probably wasn't the intention when you start. But once it starts, your audience kind of informs who you are. I learned that with Raised Right Men. I'm a, like, crate digger record guy.
Yeah.
And so our first set of tunes was like album tracks, country album tracks. Guess what? Nobody gives a shit.
Right, yeah.
Nobody. And immediately people are like, you guys are good. Y'all should play this. And immediately that's what happens. I'm
the same when it comes to that. Like, we would have to fill 3 hours of music, and we never really wanted people thinking we were doing covers, even if we were. So I would go and pick like deep cuts, deep George Jones cuts that they didn't know that were George Jones songs.
Y'all put one on a record that I didn't know was a George Jones tune until 10 years after.
Don't Stop the Music?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a killer song.
What a great one.
But
I was convinced you wrote it, or I don't know where you got it. I mean,
yeah. You know what's funny about that song in particular is like I can remember we were playing at some casino outside of Tulsa, and it's a 3 or 4 night stand, and we did like a daytime show, and so then we had the night off. We're like, what's going on, you know? And Pete Anderson, Moot Davis was playing at at the Mercury Lounge in Tulsa, and Pete Anderson was playing with Moot.
Great club.
Yeah. And so we drove out there to see him, and they were about to go on, and something happened to where, the sound, like they're about to start and something wasn't working. We've all been in that situation, and they've got to stall. So like, I see this opportunity. It's like, I can be of assistance here. So I go to the jukebox and I pick out a George Jones song, and I don't think I even knew. I just did it real fast, and it was that song in particular, and it came on, and it was like, dang, that's a good one. Like that's a good one. And Pete knew that we needed that's what they needed, because they needed a minute to figure out, to troubleshoot the problem. And when that song came on, he's like, thumbs up, good deal, thanks, pal. But yeah, I don't know. We always picked like obscure stuff so that people wouldn't know that we played as many covers as we did.
I remember y'all playing some Dwight back in the day, album track. What was the Distance Between Me and You?
Oh yeah.
And
forgot about that.
That Willie tune, I Can Get Off on You, William Whalen thing.
Yeah.
Again, it was always cool because I thought it worked alongside your songs, because ones like these may not be some of the bigger ones, but like Sad and Lonesome song or Straighter Line, like those sounded like. I was blown away when I found out that you wrote those. I was like, where did this come from? And then to hear Don't Stop the Music, which is a great song, it just is like, yeah, man, Matt just like you kept going to the well.
Well, that's what, and like the guys like the Derailers or Dale Watson or Junior Brown or any of the sort of progressive traditional country guys that were making the scene, like when we first started. That's why it's so weird to sort of be thrust in with the Texas music scene at the time, because we didn't feel like we fit in at all. We were looking there. Everybody was super nice to us, and we gained a lot of fans, and but it was confusing to us because that's not where we were coming from. But we liked the traditional stuff, and that was like our North Star as far as trying to figure it out. So you talk about like moving forward and trying to write for a band. It was you were trying to develop a sound, and you were looking for that traditional sound. And there were plenty of times. I mean, not a lot, but there were enough times where I would go and write something a little bit off the beaten path and bring it to the band. And that, they'd just be like, I'm not really hearing it. I'm not really feeling it. Oh, and it's such a heartbreaker.
Yeah. I think I heard you and Brent talking about this it's just after the Whalen show in February. And
they're right. They know, like, then their voice in it. Like, I tell you one thing, even if you get butthurt about that and you really want to stick to your guns on it and fight for a song, you still have to remember that what that means when you're in a band is that you get to play this song on stage for years with somebody who does not like that song, and you know it in the back of your head, and it's like as much as you want to act like whatever, I know better. It's like, no, man, like it's like. It's still just, you don't want to live with that, because a song can live to fight another day. And some of those songs were, I pushed to the back and brought them back for my own stuff.
Yeah, there's also that, I don't know, sometimes someone have an idea they feel really strongly about, and again, you get out there and play it, and it just kind of dies out there, and you can, I mean, there's always someone in every band, sometimes it's me, just kind of give you a look when it just sort of, like dies out there. You're just like, well, what do you think?
Yeah. We're gonna put that one on the set list again?
Yeah, we like that. Here we are.
Yeah, it's
like
funny.
Band doesn't like it, crowd doesn't like it. Right. You still like it?
Yeah. But what's trippy to me is because we recorded a lot of music, and once you start to figure out, I guess it's probably our second record when we start to figure out, you got to hire a radio promoter. And if you're going that route and you want people to, you're trying to move through the ranks. Because our first record, we took it to KHYI and handed it to Bruce Kidder and said, hey, we're 1100 Springs. And then people would in town would call and request our songs, and he would play them. And then the next record, we did the same thing, thinking, wow, we've got a lot of, love here. And it didn't work that way. We had to hire somebody. And that's the way the business works. But like, as a result of years and years of trying to scratch up enough money to do that, it makes a difference. Like, people was like, man, is it worth doing? Nowadays, it's still an argument that I've gone back and forth with contemporaries about. Just like, are you gonna pay to play here or what? And it's always seems just like this abstract concept. You're just throwing money into the wind and hoping that it sticks. But the truth of the matter is, it does matter, because those songs that get promoted to radio, somebody was playing them because they were the ones that people wanted to hear. If we roll into another town, if you start playing it, those are the ones that stay on the set list. And over time, like, just so many, you record a record with 11, 12 songs on it, and you might get 2 to 3 from any given record that stick, that keep playing. And you want them all to matter, and you'll go and play shows. Even to this day, sometimes people come up and say, hey man, you ever play this song? It's like, no, I haven't played that in 20 years. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of fun to see if you can remember those songs, but there's just so many of them that fall by the wayside, and it didn't probably get the fair shake that they deserved.
Yeah, I like records, and I like deep. I'm into album tracks, and we have fans who like that stuff, and they'll do that same thing. Do y'all ever play this anymore? No, not really. Almost any time something has like fallen way to the bottom of the list, I go, why don't we play that anymore? And I'll throw it back on the list, and then I'll be instantly reminded why we don't play it anymore for one reason or another.
Right.
Oh yeah, what's his name could never quite get his head around playing this, or there's this tricky thing that's just this chord in the doorway. We will trip over it every damn time.
It just doesn't hit somehow.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's not an exact science either, because there's some of the songs that we pushed to radio that didn't stick. We wanted it to. Seemed like the thing at the time, but it didn't stick, Yeah. Like, so I don't know. It can be a drag when you sort of get stuck in playing, just the hits, for lack of a better term. But I mean, I'm just grateful if I've got something that people dig on and want to hear. But at the same time, it's like, now I still push for new stuff,
When you go into that Bowling for Soup show, and did you guys play an hour?
Yeah.
Is your set list written? I mean, like,
for sure. No, and that, I mean,
do you have any room to be like, we should try?
Zero.
You're just like going, well,
no.
We have 1 hour.
We had a rehearsal, and gosh, if I can toot my own horn here, I write a set list like a son of a bitch, man. Like, it was, because I mean, it was down to the very last minute. Not a lot of oxygen in between songs or whatever. We don't do that. But like, I remember going, man, because they're pretty tight on the time. They're like, you have an hour.
It's a show.
You have an hour. This is a tight schedule. It's a hard hour. And I'm getting close to the end of the set list, and I'm thinking, man, we might go over a couple minutes. We get done, hit the last note, and I go to look at the time. I'm like, right on the dot.
That feels good.
Oh man, and that's
when you're like, setlist guy, everybody.
Yeah, Christian has said, it's like, man, nobody I've ever played with can write it to the minute like you can. I'm like, okay, well, good. That's a good thing. Yeah. I believe in it, man. Like, I really, really do. And I know some people who just don't like to do it. They like to read the audience, and I just feel like on some level, and I need to get back into it with my solo shows too. It creates a situation where your head is not as much in the game as it should be. You shouldn't be thinking about that.
Right.
You should be thinking about any number of things besides, what am I going to do next?
Yeah. I've done it, and I like it. But what I like more than that is having a plan.
Yeah.
And I've said it to the band, I've said it to the crowd. Like, hold up a list and go, this is what I came up with. This is the plan. Anybody has any kind of better idea, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Like, and that goes for the other people on the stage, people in the crowd. You want to hear something that's not on this list, or you want to hear something that's at the bottom of the list right now? Great.
Yeah.
You know, but
well,
I don't
I'll
want.
call audibles. I got no problem with that if the
Yeah.
show is right. I'll call audibles and I'll stray from the set list, but
Same.
got to have it. And what's more, I make sure that the band gets it at least a week ahead of time. Because, you know, guess who else really, really appreciates knowing what's going on? The other guys on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have I think you have an obligation to them to make sure that they have a game plan. Everybody, a good band will be able to follow you into whatever tunnel you're going in. But, you know, having a roadmap makes a huge difference. And I always make sure I write my set lists as if they're, you know, I've seen your set list too. It's similar, you know.
I copied yours.
As if they're small little sets in between, and hit them hard. Don't say hardly anything in between songs, and just hit them hard. 5 songs, bop, 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 bop. Now you need to take a drink of water and tune your guitar.
Yeah, if you want to say something.
And make a joke and keep it going.
Yeah.
Fast song, mid-tempo, fast song, mid-tempo, super fast song, slow song.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's got, and all in different keys. I'm really, you know, like
Yeah.
I got to a point where it's just like, all of the things that can mix it up and make it more interesting of a show, you're better off.
Yeah.
The hard part is that when you figure out like your template that really, really works, mixing it up and writing a different set list becomes very difficult because you know it works like this, and when people start to expect it. Nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah. I like going, that was great, that was perfect, and then throwing it over my shoulder and going, let's do it bores me to death, the idea of doing the same show even twice.
yeah,
Sometimes I'll do it because out of laziness.
yeah,
You know, of like, oh, I don't want to write a set list. That one we did last week or 2 weeks ago worked real good. We'll do that. But I'll still modify it in some way. I'll still go, right around this spot needs something.
that's
but
good. I don't stick to it like to that. Like, I mean, I feel like I will switch it up after a little bit, but if you're playing different rooms most nights, like, and you found a groove that works, then you can really settle into it. And you know, if it's a good show and it's a good set list, then I'll do it twice. You know,
I
do try to mix it up though.
might make some minor tweaks, but again, it's mostly, I think most of the things I do for myself, and that's when I'm working with someone and they start trying to consider the audience or even the band. I'm like, hey, whose show are we doing here?
Right.
You know, and like if you're not getting some sort of personal satisfaction out of what you're doing, I think it's like entertain yourself first. The audience will come along.
Yeah, and you want to keep yourself and the band on their toes, because if you get into a situation where you're complacent and just sort of going through the motions, like that's not a good space to be in. But you know, there again, if you like, I do get into a place where if I get a good set list, I might stick to it for 2 or 3 shows if it works. You know, there again, I'm not playing a lot of band shows all the time like I used to do, so it's not that big a deal. Like when if there's a space between band shows like there is nowadays, like. Even though the guys have done it a bunch of times, it's still when they're coming back to it, it's like, oh, okay, I got to remember this. So they're still they're already on their toes. So I don't know.
It bothers me to be like on a gig and someone go, oh, do you know? All of a sudden, like springing one on me, you know? And so I really try hard not to do that.
Yeah.
Even if, so I'll either like, you know, certain rooms, that guy's going to be there who always wants to hear this song. And so I'll either go, hey, if this guy's here, be ready to pull this out. Otherwise, we won't play it. Or I'll just put it in the list and go.
Sure. Man, something happened at one of my dance shows last year. It was pretty funny. you might have been there for this. I don't know, but like we're doing the show, it's going well, and somebody from the back of the room's like, "Hey, play some Nirvana." And I was like, I got up on the mic. I was like, "We're not doing Nirvana." And then I thought about it for a second, and we played a Nirvana song just out of. And the guys didn't know I was going to do it at all. Like, I mean, I was just like, actually, you know, if y'all can follow me on this would be pretty cool.
What'd y'all play?
We played All Apologies. You know,
Yeah.
which I'd never ever done that song. I mean, I've sat around the house playing that little. I love that little guitar riff. I love that song.
Yeah.
I'd sat around the house doing it, but I'd never ever played it live. I like it when little moments like that happen.
Yeah.
too. You know,
I do too.
Man, one thing we always used to try to do on shows was just like, and Steve was really pretty diligent about trying to make sure we had fresh material to do this with, which is like to pick an oddball cover for an encore, you know, and it just tripped people out. I know we did Safety Dance one time. There's some footage of that someplace, and White Wedding, we did that. We did the Toadies, Tyler. We did that one time.
That was at Granada.
And man, one that I really wish we would have kept on the set list. It was an accidental thing. We played this gal's wedding in Marble Falls one time, and they had a special request. They wanted to hear the Beatles, "A Day in the Life," which I remember reading the email going, man, that can't be right. That cannot be right. They gotta mean something else.
Yeah.
And
I think I know what they meant.
Yeah, I know you know exactly what they meant. I knew what they meant. What they meant made a lot of sense. But I'm following it to the letter. We had a rehearsal. I read the news today. Oh boy, learned it all.
He blew his mind out in a car.
Right, and you're right. And even then, that whole with the steel doing the whole this dissonance and all this stuff. Woke up, got out of bed. For the father-daughter dance, no less, is what they wanted it for, you know? So we learned it, and there we are the day of, and the father and the daughter get out there, and they're dancing around, and when we're playing it, you could see the dad's, like, sort of look of, what? This isn't...
It's kind of weird to dance to.
And so we got through it, and I wish we would have kept it on to do that at shows, just because the fact that we even learned it, any version of it at all, as a sort of traditional country band was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, that's one of those ones where it's like, if you don't play that like more than 3 times, it is out of your brain. It's
gone.
It is gone. But the funny thing about that was like I ran into this guy. Years later, we were playing some other private party, and here comes this guy. He's like, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. You played my daughter's wedding, and you played the Beatles, A Day in the Life." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, man, that was interesting."
Weird.
And he's like, "Yeah, that's my bad. I meant in my life."
Right.
And I was like, "Man, see, if I'd have just trusted myself and just sent the email back going, do you mean in my life? We wouldn't have had to have a rehearsal,
right?
You know, like it would have been easy."
Yeah.
Funny little requests that you get on weddings, man. Like we did a Snow Patrol song one time.
Man.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was. What is it? Light up, light up, something like that. But like, I kind of like those weird requests that you would get for weddings, you know?
Yeah, I did used to play in kind of a bar band, and someone wanted "Hurt So Good."
Oh, wow.
And it was just, I was like, this ain't gonna go over. And I remember the bride and her grandpa dancing to "Hurt So Good."
Well, that's a good one, though.
I know it is a great
tune.
It was.
That's kind of, as the kids would say nowadays, that's kind of a banger.
It is. It is.
I'm so far behind on my terminology with the kids. I should know better. My daughter's 16, you know.
Does she got the bug?
She sings in the School of Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
cool.
she has a lot of fun doing that, and it's a really interesting, cool thing. It's also funny to me because I'll go to these things and other parents who know, I'm a musician, so they always want to pick my brain. It's like, don't you think this is great? I was like, I do think it's great. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, do you think you would have been doing this when you were their age if it was around? I was like, I have no way to answer that. The answer would probably be, yeah, probably so. But I'm glad that I didn't. Because it's a different thing and it's very beautiful because they create these band situations where all these kids, everybody gets equal time and they have to play, they make them play different instruments and everything and all these different songs and they have to, it's great for my daughter. But at the same time, it's like, even when my daughter's picking my brain about or talking, it's really, really cool because she'll start talking about their school rock band as if it's a band, and it's like, oh, that's cool. It's like, it's cool to be able to have those kind of conversations and have that sort of similar perspective. But then I've told her, it's like, here's the thing, because she just started to think, it's like, well, what if some of the kids, we put together our own band? It's like, well, that's how you do it. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it. But let me tell you something. If you decide to do that, you really should ask me about, like, I know I don't offer unsolicited advice about much because you're not listening to me anyways, and I don't want to be that guy that is inserting myself into your stuff because, it's not the same. But I said, if you do that, you should really ask me a thing or two because it's a totally different deal. You need to have a way thicker skin about everything, and you have to be able to figure out how to make things work and push it in a direction where, you're really zoning. The bass player is just going to be the bass player. Mm-hmm. It's never going to switch to drums unless that's what you want to do, but I wouldn't advise it. Uh-huh. The singer's going to be the singer, and you're going to work it into where it's... Anyway, I started going down that
You could
deal.
go like, give me a poster board. I'm going to write down 5 to 10 things, stick it on the wall where you guys practice. Uh-huh. And when this issue comes up, just go look at that. And like, you could write it really clearly, right?
Right.
If you really thought about it enough, you could distill it to like, here are the rules. Here's the things the pitfalls not to jump into.
It's funny because I don't know how many years ago it was, probably about 15 years ago. It was a band that was getting its start, and we were playing out and around, and one of the guys sent me a message on MySpace, and he asked, he's like, do you have any advice for, up and coming bands, blah, blah, blah. And my attitude about that was always just like, why would you... Who am I to tell you what to do? It's hard enough as is. You don't need to make somebody. And then I started to think about it. It's like, this guy's actually asking for advice, and you've done a lot of stuff, and you are at a point where you know a thing or two, I would hope. So I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, actually, yeah, I do have some advice. And first, my joke usually, when it never, hardly ever happens, but when people ask, it's like, well, do you have any advice? And I'm like, yeah, learn to weld.
Yeah, don't start a band.
Right. If you can do anything else, do that.
Yeah.
And that's a loaded statement. And people who know what I mean know exactly what I mean by that. But I just went in stream of consciousness, and most of it is all basic stuff. Show up on time, write a set list, dress well, make sure that your gear works.
Kids, are you writing this down?
Make sure your gear works. If you're about to do a sound check, like if the sound man is up there on stage miking all your stuff up and he's miking your guitar amp, maybe give him a minute. Don't play full blast right in his face like you don't know what's going on. Or don't noodle around on stage during sound check. Everybody gets their turn, like you can't hear one guy if the other guy's playing. All that stuff. Yeah. That, when you're young and stupid, you don't think about, like that stuff. If you're on a festival gig and you're in the middle of the show, don't wind up your chords on stage.
Yeah, don't go long.
Don't go long.
Yeah.
Leave them wanting more, and grab your stuff and get off the stage.
Yeah.
I
even be nice to the staff.
Be nice.
Tip them. Because I think it ends up being a thing. I don't know. You never know if any of those things matter. But like I'd play with people. They'd be like, "Oh, there's not many people here," and they start to sit on their amp or something. I'd be like, "Get on your feet, act like we're still putting on we're still going to put on the same show."
It's all practice for the good stuff. And you know, man, to that point, Ronnie Dawson was a friend of mine, and we played shows with him when I was in high school and stuff. And he's this rockabilly legend, but he was one of the most dynamic performers I ever saw. And he was he's in his mid-50s when we first met. And but we would play shows with him, and Lone Star Trio was just getting started, and he would always do a full energetic set, no matter how many people were there.
Yeah.
And me being young, it would hurt my feelings so much if you were playing to 10 people and 3 of them walked out. You're just like, ooh, but I asked him, and his answer is so obvious, but it's easier said than done. I was like, man, how do you do that? How do you give all of yourself to every single performance? And then like, if it's a small crowd, which he didn't have that problem that much, but he would, there was still some stuff that we would do, and he always gave his all. And I said, man, you can't play for the people who aren't in the room. You have to play for the people who are. Yeah. And that's it. And that's a guy who had, an illustrious career up to the point of when he hires me to be his guitar player.
Yeah.
And that matters.
It does.
And it's a whole lot easier said than done. But it does matter.
I've got 2, I think one of them is way more abstract, but like quitting, just giving up in a show I just think is a bad look always. And again, I'm like, I don't care. I'm here for me. I love this. Like I want to play well. If we can play the best version of the song we've ever played and no one was here to hear it, I don't care.
There's way crappier jobs that pay way more money than that.
And yeah, and someone will always be there for those. Someone will always be on the other end going, I need this now. Yeah. It's important. But also, you don't know who's there. Of those people, I've played a show to nobody and then every one of them wanted to walk up and buy a CD, buy a shirt. Someone wanted a business card and hired us to play a private event where if you're mailing it in, that doesn't happen. I have one from doing a sound check with someone at Green Hall. We're working on a new song. Super excited about it. We play it during sound check, and at the end, during the last 8 bars of the song, the singer's like, all right, we're done. And it just fell apart. Well, someone was filming it and put it on YouTube. And I was like, man, we almost have a really great, complete version of this song for us to enjoy or for anyone else who might be interested. And instead, it just, kind of takes a crap here at right in the last possible minute to give up. And I was like, so now if everyone will go, oh, you want to run through a verse or a chorus? I'm like, let's just run a song. You don't know who's paying attention, who might have their camera out.
Yeah, that's a good point right there.
I hate it.
But you're 100% right, man. Like, to perfect example is like way back in the day with 1100, like they would have us at we were trying to break into the Austin market because the idea is like if you can get people to come see you in Austin, it's contagious, and then whatever. Some of that there may be some truth to some of that.
You'd already been through that.
Yeah,
in your teens,
but it was really difficult to do. And Continental Club was hiring us for a month to do all the Wednesdays. And, we're swimming upstream on this deal. And so there wasn't a big crowd for this one particular Wednesday night at the Continental Club. And we're doing our thing. We're doing the best we can. And you don't think anything of it, but at the end of the night, this guy walks up from Pabst Brewing, hands us his card, says, love you guys, great show, I'd love to talk to you. And we got a beer sponsorship that night. And it's not a big one, it was Lone Star Beer, but I mean, they gave us a little bit of bread that put some gas in the tank. You just don't know.
I remember those koozies, the 1100 Lone Star koozies. There were some fun. Y'all probably had thousands of them.
Yeah, we did. Like, they did a run of them one time that was funny because it was like, whatever they designed the graphic, and there was a guitar neck coming out of the insignia or whatever, but it was a bass guitar neck, but it was upside down. So the head, this was goofy. It's just like, nobody proofed this, huh?
Yeah.
You guys don't know? Okay, fair enough, whatever. But like,
Couldn't blame AI back then.
You just don't know. You don't know, like, if you got someplace else to be there. That's kind of my point. It's just like, and everybody gets those nights where you just kind of, it's hard to get up for the game. But look, man, there's any number of things you can do that either pay more, and it's a crappier gig. This is not the worst thing to do. You don't know how long you get to do this anyways.
Yeah.
And I still like to play. It's funny to me because the way I think about performing has changed over the years, and I still love to do it. But somewhere in the last maybe 10 years or so, it became just a sort of a weird concept because I've been doing it for so long. When you're young and you start out, you're raring to go, and that instant gratification and the positive reinforcement for something, because I wasn't getting a lot of it at that age, I was always in trouble or something. So to get some positive reinforcement was pretty cool. So it's like being on stage is really good. And then at some point in time, you've done it so many times. It's like, I love to play music and I love to record and write and all this stuff. Well, what is it about it's a weird thing, getting on stage to do it, like this frame of mind that like, okay, you love to do this. You could do this in your living room and still enjoy it, like you could do it in the studio and still enjoy it and still create and all of that stuff. What, at a certain age, after you've done it so many times, like, what is it about the need to get up on stage and like be in front of people? I get it. I still like to do it. It still makes sense to me. But the concept of it, because 90% of the people in the world just are afraid to speak on a microphone.
Yeah.
You somehow are gravitated towards doing it as this weird freak show of a human being. What is it that we need that is fulfilled by that,
I've hung, like I said, I hang out with you in bars exclusively. So you seem to feel pretty comfortable, like just interacting with people and hanging out.
Yeah.
And that is like, I like that. It's not my favorite thing.
It's not my favorite thing either.
But like, okay, so to say, okay, you're in a crowded room. I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Me personally. What is it in our personality that says, like, if someone just walked over and was like, hey, you a little uncomfortable here?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have this area over here that's a little bit higher where everybody can see you and there's all these lights on it. Would you feel better if we just took you over there?
Yeah.
And you could get everybody's attention at once all of a sudden? And it's like, logically, you would go, fuck no. Please no. But there is something in us that goes, yeah. Take me to that place.
Yeah, but yet somehow that's safer because it's like this cocoon and you have a job to do and you've rehearsed it and all that stuff. But I get anxiety about all of it. Like I wasn't always that way, but like it's, as I've gotten older, it's gotten more prevalent as far as like, I like talking to people. But I do get a lot of anxiety sometimes about saying something stupid or, trying to make a joke.
Just in hanging out?
Just in hanging out in general. Like, or I don't know. It's just it's a weird thing. I like to, I'm like an introverted extrovert.
Yeah. I feel that.
So like it's a lot of that stuff that we do. I've always said that like people stop wanting to talk to you, then you got a problem. But like, and you have an opportunity to be nice to people and to make people feel good. I like that part of it.
I do too.
But at the same time, it just, it's an insecurity, it's a very strange thing to need to be on for folks or worry about saying the right thing or having an interaction that is less than what somebody expects. You know what I mean? Or making a joke that doesn't land and they don't. I
do that constantly.
They don't get it because I'm a snarky son of a bitch and so I'll say some stuff. Sometimes I think it's hilarious,
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't land, and then I'll beat myself up about that forever.
I think I have have a gift for like wanting to say the thing that shouldn't be said because I'll think it's funny.
Well, let me tell you this. The other thing that makes me anxious about it is not necessarily my fault and I know you can relate to this because we talk exclusively in bars. Like, a lot of people that we talk to, most of them are hammered on some level. And this thing happens and it's been happening more lately, and it's so bizarre to me because it's like I never really did acid, but I feel like I'm having an acid flashback because people will walk up and start talking to you and they start the conversation in the middle, and it's the weirdest thing ever. They just walk up to you, a lot of times don't even say hello, and they'll say something like, I told her I paid the water bill. It's like, I have zero context for what you're about to say. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's just so bizarre. And at that point, you can relate to this. The hamster wheel inside your brain is going nonstop, just going, what is happening? I'm either going to love this odd, really weird interaction, or I want to run away because I got no perspective on what it is, whatever it is they're trying to say. I don't get it, you know? So, I mean, and I'm skilled at navigating those situations. So, like, I'm doing the best of trying to make sense of whatever it is they say. They don't get it. They're on a whole different level. And at that point, those type of things freak me out and make me want to just kind of go sit in a chair in the corner.
Those are hard one-on-one, but it's like when maybe if you're in a little group of people and that starts happening, for me anyway, I sort of feel like I'm performing.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I know people are kind of watching how I'm reacting, and I feel a little bit more comfortable then because I can sort of you can like joke in a little bit of a way, like, oh no, I really want to know what you're talking about. I'm
Right.
really, really curious. Please help me understand this.
That's a minefield for me though too, because my inner smartass starts to go crazy. Like, man, and then there are some conversations, and I shouldn't even say this because if you're listening right now, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about somebody else. No, but like there are some of these things that happen that are so weird that you can't follow the trail of it, and you just sort of nod and smile and just say thanks or whatever it is. And it's just going on way too long, and they're out of their depth. And I don't know if you remember the movie Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you remember the scene where he's working on the train and he's serving pie to this white guy, the racist white guy who says something racist to him. Yeah. And he imagines in his head taking the piece of pie and just smushing it right on the guy's face.
Yeah.
That guy in the movie's got it coming. Maybe in real life, the people I'm talking to don't. But when it goes on to a certain point, my mind is so messed up, I'll think about something like that to where it's just like, man, what if I just like took my hand, my whole open hand, and just like put it on their face and moved it someplace else. You know what I mean? Like, they would never see that coming. They don't understand what they're trying to say to me, and they really wouldn't understand what I was doing if I did that. And I can't turn that off. I can't turn that off. It's not a vindictive thing. It's just my ADD in a certain situation where if it's not making any sense to me and I can't follow the linear path of what it is they're trying to say, my brain goes to some other spot, and it makes me laugh. At the same time, it's like one of those things where I have to really, inside, I'm shouting at myself going, don't do that.
Yeah, don't think about it.
Don't do that.
Here's mine. I think because everyone walks up and they're holding a pint glass in their hand, and usually they're kind of gripping it by the top. And I think it would take the slightest amount of force for me to just hit the rim of that glass, and it would knock that glass right out of their hand and shatter on the ground.
Same.
And spill beer everywhere. And that would be my opportunity to get away.
Yeah.
And so when someone is, I'm constantly looking at their, like, kind of glancing down at their glass and then back at their face and being like, do it.
Yeah, I know. That's right. Like it's an impulse. It's just like the urge to yell fire in a crowded movie house.
Yeah.
And here's this much I will say to people who may or may not be listening about public interactions. Something that I would like for people to understand is I don't enjoy, and I don't think it's really cool. There's a thing that people do sometimes where they want to feign some sort of closeness to the guy on stage, and their method of doing it is walking up and being a smart ass and saying something kind of insulting.
Yeah.
Just like, walk up and the first thing is say, "Hey, you've been putting on a couple pounds, haven't you?" And I'm not like my feelings are hurt because I've heard it a thousand times or something like that or whatever. And you want to go, but the thing about it is you want to go, "Hey man, I don't know if you understand this, but like you wouldn't say that to like just some random person you didn't, or maybe you would, maybe that's just who you are."
Yeah.
But we're not bros like that.
Yeah.
We're not. I can mess with my pals and they can mess with me all day long and say whatever they want to, and I don't care. And ultimately I don't care. I'm going to go home and wake up the next day and not even think about it. But when it happens, it's just like you just want to go, man, is that how you lead off with people? Is that what you do? You're a real charming fellow there. And by the way, I don't even know your name. Like, I mean, I wish I could, but like we're not close like that. All you did was say something kind of rude, but you don't get the luxury of being able to
say that.
Some
yeah.
people do, but I don't think it ends well for those people who like will say, really, because it just makes them feel bad and creates an awkward situation that would be over if you just let it go. And I don't really care, but it's just like
I call this
obnoxious
perceived intimacy.
Right.
And I get it too. I think people are like, oh well, I'll just start cutting up with him like he's my bro.
Yeah.
But I don't.
And that's how they do. That's how they do it. And probably with their buddies, they're able to do that. But I'm not. We're not pals like that.
That's the thing is
a simple hello and how are you is nice. Like that's usually how I lead off with people.
They're trying to cut through that, I think, and trying to go, oh, I know who you are, and I feel a little more connected to you than hi, how are you? But so then maybe they want to skip past that step and just be like, we're cool. I can bust your balls, but I agree. I
can
like
take it. I mean, I can. The problem is this: like I can give as good as I get. It's like if that's the kind of game you want to play, I don't think you like. Do you want to step into the bigs? Because I got a handful of responses right in a bag that I can just lay on you, and I don't think you're gonna like it. It's like when hecklers, need to be part of the show. I got to a point, and it really worked because I had a few smart ass lines that maybe cut too deep into the quick, and I finally realized I was like, most of the time all you need to do is like, if they won't let it go, I could just look at them and go, hey, how you doing? You having a good night? It seems like you want to be part of the show, and you can be part of the show. I can make you part of the show, but I don't think it's going to be what you think it is. Mm-hmm. And usually they just go, oh, I'm good. I'm good. Cool. It's okay.
Sorry.
I'll let you do your songs. It's like, see, I have a microphone. You don't,
Yeah. I
don't know. But, the truth is 9 times out of 10, people are just cool,
I roll with Steve Martin's I Remember My First Beer.
Yeah.
Or I've heard it a lot of places. But I thought I told you to wait in the truck.
That's a good one.
Especially if it's a lady.
Yeah.
If it's some or I'll be like, oh, Mom, I thought I told you to wait in the car.
Yeah.
Just some sort of like a little bit of like, I hear you.
Yeah.
I got you.
It can be fun. I've had times where I've enjoyed it, but mostly like, it's just not productive for anybody, But
I just want to be a part of the show.
Yeah.
And they want to be your friend.
Well, and only when they won't let it go. If somebody's just got something to say, it doesn't, I can interact with that and usually it's cool. But like, there are some times when those people, they're just like, man, they really need your attention. And you want to go, hey, the thing is I can hear you. I have been hearing you this whole time. And there's a reason I'm not responding. There's not a conversation here. It's not going to go anywhere.
It only goes one way.
Right.
This whole place is designed for the noise to go this way.
Yeah.
And you're on the wrong end of it.
Yeah.
You're on
And
the
if they won't let
listening
it go,
end.
then they'll get my attention, and then I don't know. I still try to be nice because I really have taken it a step too far handling hecklers before and polarized the room to where it's like, no, now I'm the jerk.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
you are nice.
I try to be.
You are. I think everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's specific rooms or specific people who have an anecdote that says no, that guy's not nice, but you are. Like,
if you push me to that point, then it's probably not my fault. Because
Yeah.
I mean, there's a switch you can flip for everybody, but like I don't know, I never felt like it's really is very productive for anybody to be a dick about stuff. Like I just haven't seen that work out well for very many people.
Rarely is it the right answer.
Yeah. I can, but that's just the thing. I can give as good as I get, but I don't really want to do that.
Well, let's not put our hands in people's faces.
Yeah.
Let's not knock their drinks out of their hands.
Yeah.
And we'll try to be kind.
I'm glad to talk about that though, because I know it's gotta, I mean, I can't be the only one. It's just sometimes it just like gets in that spot and your mind goes, it's like farting in church. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some part of you, like it happens to probably almost everybody in that room every Sunday. It reaches a point where it's just like, okay, but if you decided to lean into it, it'd be funny.
Yeah. If I could just time it just right, maybe everybody would be on my side.
But most people aren't going to do that, Anyway.
Well, dude, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll talk about having you back and maybe having you play on camera or something. But great conversation,
dude.
Thanks
Grady, always great, and I really appreciate you asking me to do it because you're right. We don't get to talk much in this kind of environment where drinks aren't being slung and all that stuff, and it's a little bit quieter. So I appreciate it, man.
I like it. Thanks a lot, man.
You bet.